Welcome back to Rugby Town, the only football team that gets promoted, announces intentions to build a new stadium, and then the following season has their projected yearly earnings from ticket sales halved. Yeah, I don't get it either. How are you lovely lot doing? We are back here for a transfer special. Season 2 concluded yesterday. We had a youth intake. Like I mentioned, there is a stadium being built. But today, we focus on transfers. Building up a squad, which, while going into the new season, does look a bit empty, doesn't it? Now, to be fair, it is a bit empty because all the players we've got in on loan for the rest of this year I've just hidden away in the under-21s alongside a load of players who won't be here come the end of the month because contracts are expiring and they're not very good. I'm really sorry to Roger Lee. Bermuda's finest. He's not fine enough for us. He's gone. I mean, Rico Taylor has already left the building. The man wanted to leave before his contract was even over. He's gone to Northwich, Victoria. And in some other news, Tyler Brook. Remember Tyler signed from Lytown? Yeah, he might be a free agent now. I got rid of him. Now, just a little reminder, we have been promoted to the regional premier divisions of non-league English football. That is the tier below the Vanarama National North and South. At the end of last episode, we discovered we can offer part-time deals again. We've got some good overall balance. We've got a fair amount of wage budget. There may also be some transfers I'm already thinking about confirming. We'll talk all about those and more right after the intro. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Park to Prem. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I hate to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm a YouTuber. We're on the road to 200,000 subscribers. We are less than 1,500 away. I set a goal to hit it by the end of the year. This is a transfer special. It might have popped up on your YouTube homepage. Maybe it's your first time here, or maybe you've just never hit the subscribe button. You should totally go do that. It's down below. I mean, you know where. You're on YouTube, you know where the subscribe button is. Now, like I already mentioned, our first team looks rather depleted, doesn't it, going into this new year? Right now, it's a squad of 17. I probably need to sign 8 new players. The good news is there is definitely wage budget to do that. Now, I have blocked out our rough starting 11 going into the new year. I don't really intend on changing the starting 11 too much unless there's some crazy quality out there that we need to sign. We have Kelly. He has signed a new deal till 2028. Of course, it also has an optional 3-year extension. Perhaps the most important man in our entire team is still unhappy. Miles Maycock. I'm going to really try and keep him around. He's still got 2 years left on his current deal. If a big offer came in, we might have to consider it. I do need to find a new defensive mid, however, to play behind them because, well, I've got rid of all the other centre mids that we had. Elsewhere in the team, goalkeepers we have plenty of. Whether or not Evan Ovendale is good enough to be the starting goalkeeper is a bit of a question mark. He kept 4 clean sheets in 38 games for a team that won the league, although he did only concede 69. As for the rest of our team, we do have potential to improve our team at the back. I like Cartwright as our centre-back. Of course, this guy scored a goal on average every other game for us. Great aerial ability, really consistent performer. He is our club captain as well at 21 years old. He has been an ever-present part of our team. When I look at Dutton and Azam at left-back and right-back, if you believe the star ratings, they're not all that. I don't necessarily completely believe the star ratings, and they did put in good performances this year, but if I'm going to go out and sign backup right back and left back players, maybe worth looking for players good enough to be starters, maybe slight upgrades in this area of the pitch. And of course, we did loan in a centre-back last year. There's a gap there. I might have found a solution to that gap already. And that solution is Tom Wilson of Cardiff Met University. Yeah, we've interrupted his studies and said, hey, come play rugby. Well, football in rugby. He's actually already accepted an offer on £200 a week. If we compare him to Watt, who was in on loan this year and was our main starting centre-back, he is a very, very comparable player. The only reason I've not confirmed this deal yet is because Tom Wilson is on £200 a week if he joins us. And I don't know if I should pay £200 a week for a centre-back who's not a massive upgrade on a player I loaned for half that. Like, maybe I could just go out and loan someone else. I know, the fact I'm discussing loan signings as potential options really does show I'm a changed man. There are a couple of other transfers that I've just started to get going with players that I've spotted. One, a player who has appeared in many YouTube series of mine over the years, Jake Hesketh. I'm looking at him as a potential cheap backup option. He does have a major issue when it comes to his injury proneness. The actual deal we've offered him is like £20 a week and then a big appearance bonus of around £100 if he plays. I feel like he could be a pretty good option in the centre midfield spot for us. Of course, we play with a Mazzala or an advanced playmaker, either side of one another. I feel like Hesketh is a player who can do both of those roles, and if we could get him in for peanuts, don't think it'd be the worst option ever to bring in the former Southampton trainee. The other man I want to sign, I don't think I'm going to be able to sign him, is Mehmet Halim. This guy popped up on my radar because he's played for Turkey's under-18s. Yes, I search for really weird stuff when searching for players. I wanted to sign him. I thought we might be able to sign him, and then Port Vale of the Championship have made a bid for him. So, I mean, if we sign him and over Port Vale, we've signed a player that a Championship club wanted. No idea why he'd pick to join us over Port Vale. I have also offered him £400 a week, which, just as a reminder, does equate to 10% of our current wage budget, although we'd already have Rio McAvoy on £400 a week. So it's an amount of money that I'm willing to throw at players, but I suppose the argument here is with Rio, he signed a 2-year deal, he's proven himself worthy of that £400 a week, and he is perhaps the best player in our squad. Don't tend to talk about staff that much just because honestly it's really not that interesting in Football Manager. So much of it is min-maxing. What I have opted to do this year though is a little bit of a refresh. I sacked our technical director, our director of football, our loan manager, our set-piece coach, basically all the coaching roles that are probably great if you're a Premier League club with loads of money, but if you're a non-league club with 4 coaching sessions a week, probably don't need a set-piece coach so much. A little reminder, we did pick up a brand spanking new scout in David. Our former player, retired at the end of the year, actually looked like a pretty good scout for us, and in fact was way better than any of the other scouts that were possible to sign. With his arrival, I have fired the rest of the recruitment team, so he is the only recruitment person we have. And over on the medical front, if we just have a quick look, we do currently have a sports scientist in Andrew Bennett. I am questioning, do we need a sports scientist on £50 a week? I might fire him. I have, however, got Kath Hopwood in, who's a very, very good physio. 15 physiotherapy for this level is absolutely amazing. She's signed on £150 a week. You know what, Andrew? You can leave too. Goodbye, mate. Interesting to note that on the coaching front, we currently have 4 current first-team coaches. I meant to only have 2. Yeah, I don't really get it either. I can't extend the contracts of any of the coaches at the club because if I do that, the board will go, hey, we said you could have 2 and you have 4. Whereas at the moment, they're all on kind of month-to-month contracts. And if you were wondering about my own personal manager profile, here I am in all my smiley glory. I have a slightly glazed over look in my eye there. Of course, we won manager of the season for the year just gone. Can I ask to start a coaching course? Because I'm looking at our attributes here, 2s and 1s across the board. 3 for people management, though. I am a people pleaser. Wouldn't mind those being slightly better. I have just sacked my sports scientist. The board don't think we need a sports scientist. They clearly agree with me. It's completely pointless at this level, although maybe I want another scout. Would it be bad if I just signed Jeff McDougall for the name? Jeff McDougall. It doesn't sound like a real name. It might be my favourite name ever. He looks friendly. Jeff. You want £180 a week. It's quite a lot, Jeff. He's got extensive knowledge of Wales and England. The only other good kind of scout in terms of judging ability and potential is Edwin Hayes. Doesn't have as exciting a name. Does have way, way better attributes, though. I hate to say it. Looks great as well for 61-year-old. He does actually like to be a scout, which I'm somewhat surprised about. I'll give you a 2-year deal, and if we get promoted, 2 more years. How does that sound, Edwin? Please sign on the dotted line. He's actually a really good scout. I really want this guy. £160 a week for him. I'm hoping it's going to be worth every penny. Somewhat concerning, he has no scouting knowledge of anywhere. All we know is he was born in Welwyn Garden City. Besides that, he's done nothing in the world of football. But he probably just played a load of Football Manager for the last 20 years. That's my headcanon. Now, before we do anything, I am going to just mash continue a little bit. The current date is the 16th of June. We are only a few days away from that season tick-over point. I think it's about a week away, where we will officially be promoted, see our media prediction for next year, and I think based off that, I'll have a better idea of how much do we need to improve? Should I be looking for wholesale changes across the board? What can we achieve? And of course, with that season tick over, the club reputation will update. Some players will also be released at the end of the month. There's probably just going to be a few more options out there. Imagine this will be the first time of many we get this inbox item coming through. Work the Space has started on their coaching course to get a national C license. I hope it won't be the C license that I'm trying to get again and again. That would imply I keep failing it. But eventually, maybe we'll get that Continental A license by the end of the save. I am being asked about Tom Wilson, the centre-back. I'm going to delay it again. He's currently on an amateur contract at Cardiff Met Uni. They are actually a team that can only offer amateur contracts. So with that in mind, you can actually just approach to sign any of their players. I did look at some of their key players, like Park Chul-ho here, who is a South Korean player. Actually looks really good. Has no interest in joining us. Maybe when he turns 18, he'll change his tune. Might happen, might not. I'm going to create a note. What was the date? The 19th of July is his birthday. This is not creepy at all, is it? 19th of July. Park's birthday. There you go. I'll get an inbox item about that. We'll see if he changes his mind then. I do actually have a shortlist at the moment of some new gens I found that we might be able to sign at one day. There's loads and loads of random players here, which, you know, if you've never watched a save game of mine before, you might be wondering, how have you found some of these players? They look kind of good. Well, what we do is we go to stuff like the Welsh North and South Division, go to the season preview, then just flick through the Media Dream 11, where in this division there were 3 regen centre-backs all listed. You can also, of course, look through the key players as well, especially if one team is particularly dominant in a division. The key player list can be a good way to spot some other players. And from here, any players that I think look good, that maybe are players with potential, I add to a shortlist forever. One such player is Jonathan Robertson, or Robinson, not Robertson. This guy, 17 years old, looks absolutely phenomenal. Sadly, when I did try and sign him, he had no interest in joining us. He would be a crazy striker with those physicals and 11 finishing, I feel like, for the non-leagues. You know what, we'll put in another bid. He turned me down 3 weeks ago. He'll probably turn me down in a moment. And of course, with all the many leagues I've got loaded, I can do this for other divisions like the Northern Irish second tier. Go to the season preview, look through these players. Sadly, at the level we're at right now, if there were some players here, like there is Dan Clearly here, who is, I believe, already on the shortlist. Indeed, he is. He's not going to want to join us. If I approach to sign him, we're too low down at the moment. And of course, you're not just limited to foreign leagues, especially if you've got lower English leagues loaded. One thing you might want to do is go to the season preview and flick through divisions around you looking for these players. Another example of one of these players that I can remember was one league away from ourselves is Martin Paxman. This guy plays for Hyde. He looks amazing. He's already wanted by Altrincham and York City. So clearly a good little player. If we try and approach to sign him, he doesn't want to join us. You know, I'll give it a season or two and I'll be hoovering up players like these guys. As I suspected, Jonathan Robertson doesn't want to join us at the moment. He did say he wanted to continue his development at his current club. That is a line that players will often say. They might be open to a move when they turn 18. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to create a note for the 17th of April. Well, I'm going full-blown stalker mode today. J-Rob B-Day. There we go. That is another reminder set. And of course, the other nice thing about having these players all in one singular shortlist that I add up over time is that if any of them do change their tune and decide they do want to join us, I can very quickly just look at the ones that might be available using the interested in filter. So rather than going to all the players individually and checking if they want to talk, we can check it there. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on some of these players. Was just looking through my scouts' recommendations. There was a new gen that stood out here, Harry Hutchcox. This guy plays for Sutton United, 17 years old, striker with a very strong left foot. Potentially has potential, that's a weird sentence to say. Isn't ambitious, has low determination. He actually plays in a level kind of way below ourselves. Has been playing some first team football, probably not worth a punt. How much might he cost me? His contract's up at the end of the month. He wants £100. I'm not paying him that. Suppose at this point I should remind myself, with it being June, there are players whose contracts are going to be running down in a month. I probably should have my radar on some of them. Although, because I've fired a load of my recruitment staff, we've also lost a lot of scout reports that were made over the last little while. Ben Perry here is transfer listed at Nottingham Forest. He is, well, available at the end of his contract. He's currently on £500 a week. He actually looks really quite good. Does he want to join us? Breakthrough prospect, negotiate, appearance fee of £350. How about, mate, I give you a proper contract? I know, very exciting. Pay you £150 per appearance, and I'll pay you £150 a week. Has to be a 2-year deal, though. And I do want a contract extension after promotion. My scouts have looked at this guy. He looks good. I mean, he plays for Nottingham Forest and he's 20. He must be good. Suggest terms. Okay, in hindsight, I could have negotiated that more, but he actually looks really, really good. Cameron Healy was our defensive midfielder for a lot of this year. I think I will be terminating his contract come the end of the year. If we compare Perry with him, I mean, Perry is just a way better defensive player, better well-rounded on the whole, not as good determination and leadership, but more than makes up with that kind of set of technicals, and also the physicals probably just edge out Healy as well. Shout out to the scouts. They occasionally actually throw up some good options. I'm wondering who else might appear here now. If we sort by world reputation, Wilson Carvalho of Spalding United. His name is Carvalho. It sounds exotic. He's Portuguese. He must be good. I say that. Is he good? He's played in the Vanarama National North and South occasionally. Also, he's a winger. We don't play with wingers. Have noticed our scouting budget has been set for the year. I am going to increase our scouting range, I think, to UK and Ireland here. It's not cheap to do that. We're going to spend basically our entire scouting budget in the next month to have this expanded range and try and find as many players as possible. And already, I can see a few more faces on this list of players sorted by world reputation who weren't here before. I mean, our scouts already recommended one player playing in the Premier League, so why not look at all the players with their contracts expiring in the Premier League? Owen Hesketh, centre mid, Welsh under-21 international. There's no way I can afford this bloke, is there? He's currently on £750 a week. I can't afford this bloke. Carl McAdam here has 16 jumping reach. It's a shame he couldn't be another set-piece weapon with us because his heading is only an 8. He kind of looks like the kind of bloke who starts fights with microwaves. You know, I wouldn't leave him alone in my kitchen. Johnny Stuttle, I feel like I had him in last year's Park to Prem. Contract expiring at Bournemouth. He's currently on £1,700 a week. I was about to say, there's no way I can afford his wages. I can confirm we can't afford his wages. Was looking at Premier League players with their contracts running out, lowered it down to Championship now, lowering my expectations slightly. Paul Iggulden here is actually a really well-rounded centre-back. He plays for Hull City's youth academy. Of course, we are already looking at a centre-back in Tom Wilson. So there is a question mark over, is there a better option out there than Wilson? I mean, I thought Paul was good, and now I compare him with Wilson, and I'm more convinced that Wilson is a really good signing for £200 a week. You might be wondering, Jack, are you just about to go through every division in the Football League? Now you're on League One. You bet your bottom dollar I am. I'm thorough. This is how you play Football Manager at this level. Bargain hunting. Hour of gameplay makes for 3 minutes of content in this kind of video. Whenever I stumble across football clubs in Football Manager that are not in the logo pack that I use, that has tens of thousands of clubs, I get a bit curious. I gave up looking for all the different leagues in England, started looking at just players by various ages. Here we're looking at players aged at most 17 with contracts expiring, and this team here, Clanfield, popped up. Interesting club. They play in the Wessex League. They have no logo pack, but their key player here, Alex Holchuddy, not only is it a fantastic name, he actually looks like a pretty good centre midfield option. 17 years old, contract expiring at the end of the year. I think I'm going to make an offer. I mean, I can just approach to sign him, right? Well, I thought I could. He doesn't want to come to me. Never mind. When's his birthday? 13th of April. Get it on the Moonpig calendar. We'll add him to the watch list. Well, Holchuddy might not want to join me, but there are some of his teammates here who are also young, who might be interested. Are any of them as good? Robert Hyde? Actually, he does not look bad at all. With 14 finishing, his physicals are kind of god-awful, though. The other player here is Chris Ross. I might keep a little bit of an eye on Hyde. We'll add him to a shortlist. I might even try and get him in on trial if he leaves the club at the end of his contract. Gonna go just back to player searching now. All that time searching through players, Ben Perry was the best of the bunch by quite a notable amount. Well, at least I know that my new gen shortlist is working. Jolan Lodge has joined Reading. This guy was playing for AFC Sudbury. He's joined Reading. He's now worth £5.4 to £7 million. Tell you what, imagine if we were a few seasons ahead in this save game and I'd got this guy for nothing. You'd all be calling me a genius. I still think I am for finding him. I don't like Ovendale, our goalkeeper. Some new scouting recommendations coming in. Jack Barrett here looks very good. 23 years old, was part of Everton's youth team setup, never played for them. He is a really, really good option. If we just compare him with Ovendale here, better aerial ability, much better shot stopping. some concerns over how much money he might want. I'm going to offer him a trial and see if he'll take it. And now that I think about it, while we're here, we might as well just offer trials to all these players that my scouts have recommended, get some further knowledge on them, make some judgment calls. There could be some good players in there. I mean, there's a man here with the name Gucci. He must be good. Good news, first signing of the episode is a new scout. Edwin Hayes, the man who's never done anything in football before but seems to understand ball. He's joining us. Jake Hesketh is joining the club, first actual signing of the window, £20 a week, does have a rather large appearance fee of £85, I guess, versus his actual salary. Reason for doing that, he's going to be more of a squad player, so he's not going to be playing quite as much. On top of that, he does have a history with injuries. Last thing I want is him getting injured and I'm paying him a load of money per week. With this kind of contract for a squad player with injury proneness, it makes way more sense to lean more into the appearance fees. Occasionally, scouts do recommend good players. Matty Waters here could be an interesting option. Can play left back, can play right back, super consistent, loves important matches. He is a more experienced player who's been playing in Wales and in Chester over recent years, kind of hopping back and forth across the border. He doesn't look like a bad left-back option at all. I like the fact he can play right-back as well. Always useful at this level to have that versatility. And if we compare him with Dutton, who is our current starting left-back option, I think it's safe to say he's just a little bit better across the board. I suppose the question now becomes, is he asking for a reasonable amount of money? He's currently on £200 a week. If I could get him for nearer 100, I'd be happy. He wants £800. I need a moment. I've got sharp pain in my chest from seeing that number. Really like the idea of you as a signing, Matty. I'll add you to the shortlist in case you don't find a club right away, but £800 a week? You're having a giraffe, son. I've got these trialists in. Jack Barrett, the goalkeeper, I feel like I need to move in for now in case someone else was to swoop in. 23 years old, looks like an ideal goalkeeping option. Not loved at Avondale as our goalkeeper over the last few years. Like the aerial reach of this guy, like the handling with the reflexes. Are his wage demands more reasonable than what I've just witnessed? The answer is no. He wants £500 a week. I can't justify giving that to a goalkeeper who I don't think is a revolutionary upgrade. I'm going to walk away from that. Got him on trial for 4 weeks. As pre-season goes on, if he doesn't find a club, and this applies to all players, wage demands will drop. Whilst there is a desire, I suppose, to go out and sign as many players as possible right away, if you do wait a little bit, players don't find clubs, you can get them cheaper. I think we need to start doing that maybe a little bit more. Maybe I'm too keen to get signings done today. I feel like I'm trying to cover a little bit more of the intricacies of lower league management, especially when it comes to finding players at this kind of level. It's something that people have asked about when it comes to staff as well. Mehmet Halim has gone to Port Vale in the Championship. We knew that would happen. But yeah, just circling back to the previous point, I think we'll be doing another transfer special tomorrow. It takes a long time to play through the summers of these kind of transfer windows, especially where there are thousands of players that we could possibly sign. I don't really want to rush through it. It feels like an important thing to get right. And also, I want to bring you guys along on the journey. If I started editing things really short and snappily, cutting out every transfer that goes wrong, you don't get to experience the struggle. I offered this guy £400 a week, by the way. He's gone to a championship club on £200 a week. Not bitter. Not bitter. Not me. No, never. Just on the topic of looking for players when you're in the lower levels, another thing that can be really good to do, it's probably a bit premature for me, is just looking through national youth teams, especially the home nations. If you're doing a lower league save in England or elsewhere in the home nations, players at this level, they're not going to need work permits, of course, because they're coming from locally. You can occasionally find some really good players out there, especially if you have got all the different leagues loaded. I was having a look through things here. There's players like Marty Crawford, who's already on my radar. This guy is currently playing in the second tier of Northern Ireland. Looks like he could be a good option. One player who wasn't on my radar, but certainly would be, if I was maybe slightly higher up the leagues, is Mark Alexander here. Plays for Raith Rovers, this guy. 18 years old, valued at £18,000 to £180,000, currently on £170 a week. I mean, he would be good, wouldn't he? I mean, he's not going to join me from the third tier of Scotland, but he would do a job like in a League One Championship kind of team. He's so good. When I see players like this, it's annoying that I'm not in a higher division where I could actually sign them, because, yeah, he is different gravy. I have already looked through Wales, Scotland, Ireland, England. None of their players kind of want to join us yet. Maybe in a few years. Gillen is showing pleasing progress. Apparently he has the potential to be a Vanarama National North or South player. He'd be a leading player for most regional Premier Division sides. Of course, that's the division we're going into. He was going to leave at the end of his contract at the end of this year. Then he got an extra year because we got promoted. He's still unhappy about it. I'm still smug about it. Rugby Town increases stature significantly. That's what we want to see. And I believe now if we hit continue once or twice more, we should see a leaderboard or something. And then we're in the new season. But not before we confirm the signing of Ben Perry. I think I'm going to confirm the signing of this bloke. He is a bit of a bargain, the 20-year-old, I think, on £150 a week. 2-year deal, 2 more years if he gets promoted with us. Plays for Nottingham Forest, plays in the Premier League, he must be good. And I think I am also going to confirm the signing of Tom Wilson. I have looked at other centre-backs. I am slightly concerned that Wilson is left-footed, and on top of that, Jake Cartwright is also left-footed. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, we'll make it work. I mean, worst case scenario, I teach Tom Wilson how to play left-back, and Dutton is out the job at left-back. I mean, wouldn't even be the stupidest idea I've ever come up with, would it, when you look at it like this? Perry signing confirmed. He joins on the 1st of July. Wilson is in the building. Welcome, Tom. I like Tom a lot. He's quit university. He's joined us here from Aberystwyth, and I'm hoping he's not going to regret it. He gets a new bearded buddy in Jake Cartwright at the back. These two, they're going to make magic happen, I hope. Season expectations for the coming year. The board, as a reminder, do want a top half finish. I'm not going to mess around with any of the cup competition expectations because, frankly, we've been crap in cup competition so far whilst we've been in charge. We are now in the Southern League Premier Central Division. Can I get an ooh? Woo! I know, very exciting. We're in a Premier Division now. Are there any big teams in our division? I can see Kettering Town. I recognise Kettering Town. Season preview as a newly promoted team has us up in 7th. And you can see here, McAvoy is in the Media Dream 11. And Maycock's in the Media Dream 11 as well. Things you love to see. And on our screen here, slightly lesser expectations. Apparently the media think we might finish 9th. At least that's what they thought before the latest editions. You know, while we're here, I've got a problem. I've got an addiction. I'll admit it. I'm going to just see if there's any good young players that I should be signing, like Ricardo Driscoll on loan from Leyton Orient. Can we sign him? Can't sign him. Every time I come to this screen, I just have to click through every face just to see if there's any players that are regens, any players that I should be signing. I've not looked at this division because this was the league above us last year, so there could be players here I've not yet discovered. I'm nearly there, don't worry. I've nearly clicked through each and every one of them, and if you're thinking, do you really do this in your free time, Jack? Abso-bloody-lutely. Is this not what Football Manager is all about? If you disagree, we play the game differently. You and I were not the same. There were no new gens other than the couple I already knew of. When you look at the star ratings, apparently I should be more concerned than I currently am about Wakaza Azam. He was one of our best players last year, but he is also 1-star current ability. I'm going to go see if there's any right-backs. The only right-back our scouts have scouted is Daniel Carr, who, he looks fine. Elsewhere, I see a player playing in League One, and that piques my attention. Jack Riley here of Wigan Athletic. Tell you what, he might only have 1 dribbling, but the boy can cross, and he's also quite athletic for a man from Wigan Athletic. I guess they got him for the sprinting team. He may have no concept of how to run with a football, but he does have the mentals and he does have the physical edge, which I do think at the lower levels of English football probably is more important. And importantly, he can tackle, he can mark. He won't be in the right place, though, positionally. We'll put him on the maybe pile. There must be a better right-back out there that has more than 1 dribbling. Don't really like any of the other options out there. So you know what? We'll just set up a scout thing, you know, assignment. That's what the scout things are called. I want 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential, 23 and younger, ongoing. We have 2 scouts to pick from. Either of you go do it. I believe in you lads to pick me out someone. And I think while I'm also here, I am just going to set up a focus to look for a more defensive midfield option for us. Not sure what I'm necessarily expecting there. And a goalkeeper. I would like a new goalkeeper. Quite badly. Scouts are busy with other tasks, so results will take time. That's fine. We have time, I think. Our scouts are at capacity. We have 2 scouts. I realised we took a few players on trials like Gucci here, and I've not even looked at how much he might want. This guy is actually a really good centre-mid option. Versatile, very well-rounded, great work rate, really nice physicals as well. Was playing for Dagenham and Redbridge in the National League. The year before that was actually playing in the Isthmian Premier Division. That is the same tier that we're going to be playing at this current year. I suppose the big question mark with players like this guy are going to be, How much does he want a week? Is it less than, say, £250? I know we're paying £400 for McAvoy as a striker. I do feel like in the grand scheme of things, especially at this lower level, centre mids aren't as much of a make or break position. He wants £300. That's more reasonable than I was actually expecting. If he could do 220, we'd be BFFs. He doesn't want to do 220. I feel like if I want to commit to, say, £250 for him, I need him on a 2-year deal. He wants 275. Do 250. Gucci. We are Gucci. Love it. Thank you, mate. No idea if his name is said Gucci, by the way. It's what I'm going to call him. Apparently, Maycock would be a good player for most Vanarama National League sides. I mean, it's great news to hear. I want to sign him to a new contract, and he doesn't want to sign a new contract with us. So really, all you're doing by telling me he's this good is hurting my feelings. Fixtures have been announced for the coming year. First away day of the year, Hitchintown FC. Mum, I want to go watch us play Norwich City. We have Norwich City at home. Norwich City at home. Hitchintown, what is this all about? You might be wondering, like me, how Gucci, who are looking to sign, and Ben Perry of Nottingham Forest kind of match up alongside one another. Here they are head-to-head. I say head-to-head. If I was to pick up both of these players, I could see a world where I change the tactical shape a little bit for this coming year, potentially move to kind of a... Well, I was going to say a 4-1-2-1-2, but actually, I think I'd be more inclined to play something like this. I really like this shape in Football Manager. I find that if you play with a centre attacking mid, you kind of lose the battle in midfield a lot with how the match engine works. So something like this could actually be a really good way of making the most of all these new midfielders we're looking to bring in. Of course, I'm saying all of this and planning all these hypotheticals. Gucci here might not even want to join us. And for all the people who hate the free striker system, I'm sure they love the idea of going to a 2-striker system. I think it might make sense with the kind of strengths of our squad, where I talk about strengths of our squad. McAvoy continuing to improve as well. I'm so happy. Our team's so good. Apparently, Roger Lee thinks he should be starting more games. Roger, your contract is up in 4 days. Take £60, go get yourself some overpriced cocktails in Bermuda. Have a nice life. Altrincham make a bid for Martin Paxman. It could be another one of the players on my shortlist getting snapped up by a team up the football pyramid. In this case, it's not a Reading side, it's an Altrincham side. But nevertheless, annoying to see. He doesn't want to join me. Actually, that's a point. Now that we've been promoted, are any of these players now interested in joining us? Robert Hyde is... Not that interested in Robert Hyde. Not yet. I feel like I will be constantly checking this list for players that might want to join me. Callum Gillen is still unhappy about the contract situation. How much money does he want a week to sign a new deal? How much do I have to give you for you to shut up? He wants £450 and a 30% promotional wage rise. He is having a laugh. I realised at this point when I started the negotiations, I should have set a start date of the end of the kind of season that we're now heading into, so the contract here wouldn't kick in right away. It's just too much. £350 is just too much. If you're wondering what I meant by the start date, by the way, we've got players like Jovel Jackson Davis, who I think could still be a useful player for us for the next year or two. When you come to negotiate a contract with these kind of players, if you set the start date at the end of the season, you can see here it's next June. It's quite a significant date. Not only can it save you some initial wages for the first kind of season of the new contract, where he's not actually on the new contract yet in this instance, but it also means that when you then come to set a contract length, rather than it starting immediately and being a 2-year deal to say 2027, we actually get him contracted for the next 3 years because he's got a year of his current deal before the new 2-year deal kicks in. Did I explain that well? I feel like I might have explained that awfully. Either way, I'm going to offer Jovel Jackson Davis a 2-year deal on £180. He wants 220. Can we do 190? We can do 190. You know what, Jovel? I think that is a beyond reasonable contract for you, mate. Thank you for being nice. People accuse me of having favourites. No idea what they're talking about. I hate you, Callum. I hate you. Stockport County in League One have made an offer for Jack Barrett. Do you want to talk to us, Jack? You could go and play for Stockport in League One and not play, or play for me on £400. Can't afford these wages. Clubs in England have released players. None of these players are going to want to join me, are they? Hannibal Medjbury, welcome to rugby. doesn't want to join us. Although I've just gone back to the player search screen and sorted by ability. There's loads of new players that our scouts have been scouting. I mean, that is what they do after all. How many right backs have you been looking at, lads? Oh my word. We are finding players. Jack Thompson here, formerly of Nottingham Forest. Super inconsistent. I've just realised, might as well just trial all these players, right? Select them all, transfer, offer, trials. There's a few of these players already at us on trial, but we might as well trial all the players. And on top of that, I'm going to arrange even more friendly matches. And what we'll do is we can play the trialists in the friendly matches. Then we're not having to pay appearance fees for our actual players, and we can organise a load of friendlies that all the kind of mercenaries play in and hopefully make a little bit of money off it. You know, Charlton Athletic, that's £5,000. Who else can we play? Huddersfield Town, that's another 6,000. Who else are we going to take on here? Who else wants us? Millwall, come on. We'll give them a game. That's another 5,000. And yeah, the nice thing about all these friendlies we're organising is we'll just play all our trialists in these games. That way I'm not paying appearance fees and stuff. And it helps with just rotating the squad and minimising injuries to our first team players. I don't know if this is the best site in Football Manager or one of the most terrifying, but I now have to just flick through like 50 inbox items and confirm a load of trials. This is not everyone's idea of fun, it's my idea of fun. We've hit that point in pre-season where I've got a load of players in on trial. I don't really like any of them, so I'm now just looking at players with one international cap. Was actually a player who stood out to me, Danish Hill. We'll just call him the Hill, the Mound. He looks very good. In fact, he looks like an incredible left-back option. Was playing for Bristol City. Prior to that, Leicester. He doesn't want to join me. Never mind. Do we leave this in the video editing, Jack? I'll let him decide. The other left-back options here just don't look as good, do they? Sean Tarimmer here is interesting. He is a centre-back, but he's actually a quick centre-back who's not the craziest in the air. We don't really have a fast centre-back. He's like the opposite of Cartwright, except he can defend a little bit more. He is right-footed. If we just compare Tarimmer with Tom Wilson, who, of course, we've already signed, Wilson is definitely a better rounded player, but I do wonder if Tarimmer would be a more complementary player to play with Cartwright. Nevertheless, you know, you can never have too many good centre-backs, and he can also play a more defensive midfield position potentially for us as part of our rotation. He does actually want to join us, crucially. How much is he going to ask for a week? £300. That is actually way more reasonable than I thought it was going to be. Going to try and save some pennies because, you know, penny pinching's good. I want a 2-year deal, but with an optional contract extension the club has. 325, do 250. Sean, come on, 250, mate. It'd be a great deal for me. It'd be a great deal for you. We'll do 275. Have it your way. I do feel like if we get into Rimmer and we get in Gucci, that is two really good players for the spine of our team. Two players who are very, very good physically, especially to Rimmer. He'd probably be the quickest player in our team, which is saying something. And he actually has kind of all the technicals you want for a no-nonsense centre-back, combined with some respectable mentals, dare I say, as well. I feel like he and Jake Cartwright could be BFFs. I suppose in some ways that would make Tom Wilson the third wheel of the date, but I'm sure they can sort it out between them. Tom, you might want to start learning to play left back, though, just in case. Another transfer to confirm. Gucci is joining us. 2-year deal. Really, really good option on £250 a week. Top quality centre mid. You can see here a good player for most Vanarama National North and South sides. That is the league above us. And yeah, we're not really breaking the bank with this transfer either. I mean, right now, to start the season, this would be our current starting 11. You've got, of course, Perry, who's joined us from Nottingham Forest. I feel like he is going to be our better defensive midfielder option. He's a little bit more limited compared to Gucci, but you can see here as a defensive midfielder, he ticks a lot of the boxes without excelling at any of them, like massively, but that's kind of good at this level. Elsewhere, Gucci, who's just joined us, I think will be a box-to-box midfielder option for us. I feel like it'd be a waste of his 13 work rate and his decent stamina and physicals to play him in any other kind of centre mid role, especially at our level. I feel like Maycock is going to have a lot of fun with players to pick out with pinged passes. Whether or not he's going to be happy to have fun remains to be seen. I'm hoping that if we pick up enough new players, of which, of course, we're still looking at plenty of players here, he might have a change of heart and decide he wants to stay. Worthing have made a bid for Tarimmer. I don't think I'm getting Tarimmer. That's the issue with these lower league transfer windows. They get all excited about finding a player and then a bigger club just comes in and steals them. And also, well, I get stuff like this happen that also annoys me. Cameron Healy is unhappy. He wants a new contract at the club. Mate, you are literally on a non-contract. Go away. Just remembered as well, Billy Willis is also here. Backup right back for us last year. Didn't have to step in. Not good enough for this current division. Bye, Billy. The first team really is a mess at the moment with all the trialists, but at least the starting 11 is slightly organised. Still need to work on the depth to the squad. I think that'll happen in the second transfer special of this summer. I feel like to conclude things today, I just want to know, are we getting Tarimmer? The answer is... well, no, kind of, but also maybe. He's taken a trial with Eastleigh for a week, which means he's rejected our offer, but we can just make a new offer immediately because he didn't accept another contract. He accepted a trial. Also, has he now lowered his wage demands, or am I going crazy? I found out he's very, very consistent. I do like that a lot. Right, Sean, you know what? £250. I'll give you £1,000 signing on fee. 2-year deal. Spit on my hand. Shake it. Tell Eastleigh to do one. Tell them you're not interested in their trial anymore and you've made a mistake. At least we're going to have a little bit of good news to end the episode on, regardless of what happens with Tarimmer, because Jovel Jackson-Davis has signed that new deal. Like I mentioned, it's a deal that kicks in at the end of the current season. So he's on £85 a week for this next year, and then after that, the new 2-year deal kicks in. So, especially if you're managing in the lower leagues, I highly recommend using these future contracts when you've got a limited amount of time you can actually sign players for in terms of contract lengths, and you can't just give them 5-year deals. These kind of negotiations can obviously allow you to secure players for longer and save a little bit of money in the immediate term. Looking through scout recommendations here, there's a couple of right-backs who could be really good. Dami Imre here was playing for Crystal Palace, has been released. He looks like a really good right-back option. Undoubtedly an upgrade on our current option in Zam, who, of course, I kind of do want to replace. Danny, how much do you want? Danny, why do I feel like you're going to want a lot? Are you going to hurt me here? He wants £500. I might come back to that because I think he is good. The other right-back option my scouts have unearthed is Sam Poole, who I think is perhaps not quite as good physically, but is better going forward, which as a more attacking wing-back option could be quite nice. He's also got 14 acceleration, which at this level is absolutely mad. He also wants to be a star player. What are your wage demands, my friend? He also wants that £500. Let's try and negotiate both these deals and we can make a call on which we go for. I have a sneaking suspicion I just have to accept the fact I'm going to have to pay £400 a week for these guys, which, I mean, it's a hefty chunk of our wage budget, but at the moment at least, we can afford to spend that. Can we negotiate a cheap deal here? I don't think Danny's going to work out. You know what? Danny, you are injury prone as well. I feel like I like Sam Poole a little bit more anyway. I think Sam could be the one. Assuming no one else comes in for him. I'm saying all of this. Worthing a lurking again. Jack Barrett, the goalkeeper we were looking at, has signed for Stockport County, sadly. He is going to be a backup player for them. I'm going to try and see if I could loan him. Could I really loan him for the year? If I could, that would be mad. I can't believe that he'd actually want to go on loan to us. But then again, he did want to join us potentially permanently. He went on trial with us. Would it be a terrible shout to sign him on £375 a week? I think maybe I should look more into goalkeepers, but why not get the ball rolling on a plan B option? Linfield have made an offer for Marty Crawford. Another one of the youngsters on my list of players that I want to sign, who's going to get snapped up by another club. I'm shaking. I'm beginning to think this shortlist might have been a mistake. All it does really is make me upset about the players I might not be able to get. Although, Alex Holchuddy has been released. Clanfield have let him go. Oh, Holchuddy, come here, mate. You have a fantastic name. You're a beautiful human being. How much do you want? £45 a week. That is outrageous from you. Let's give him a nice long contract. Definitely not manipulating and using him here. Look, this is a fair contract. This is a great deal. He has said the very acceptable line. If you didn't know, I can't believe this has happened. This doesn't happen very often. But if you're ever in a bidding war with another team for a player and you're desperate to get them and you can afford to pay above and beyond the odds, say there was another team coming in for Holchuddy here, I don't know, championship team, even if they're in for him, if the player says this is a very acceptable offer, it means that no matter what, he's going to sign for you and he will sign for you when you hit continue the next time. like we've just seen there. I didn't realise that Holchuddy's contract was up at the end of the year with Clanfield. Of course, he didn't want to join us. They've released him. I don't need to remember his birthday anymore because we're signing him age 17. He is a really good player, though, for us to pick up. What a signing. And just like that, he joins us. 17 years old, 4-star ability. This is why we have the shortlist. The shortlist, definitely not a terrible idea. This guy, oh, he is really, really good. I feel like he probably is more of a defensive midfield option for us versus, well, I say versus a more attacking option. He's actually quite versatile. He's a bit of a weird player. He's got great physicals and great speed and some okay vision, but going forward and backwards, he's not amazing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some versatility to his game by training him as a defensive midfielder, but we will also train him as a segundo volante. I feel like he is going to want to be in a more mobile midfield role because of his really good work rate and great stamina. That said, he has got a lot of work to do on his game, and just a well-rounded role like this is probably for the best. On top of that, just because his dribbling is so bad, I will also train his ball control to also help with his first touch, which is also slightly lacking. I think that's probably the best way to make the most of Holchuddy here. I was thinking that for today's episode, I was going to wait for the Tarimma situation to resolve itself, but you know what? We'll save that as a hook for next episode, alongside the Sam Poole right-back option, and also potentially Jack Barrett in as a goalkeeper. I feel like with the signing we've just made there of Holchuddy, it's just a good vibe to end the episode on. A surprise signing, a really good player to pick up for absolutely nothing, and a testament to the fact that you can get some really good players at this lower level just by being persistent, using different player filters, looking through all kinds of different divisions as well. I almost want to just go through this Wessex League now and just flick through all the teams and see if any of them also have players that I should be aware of, namely staring at kind of the key player section here for any new gen faces that kind of super stand out, like Shaquille O'Darn. Is Shaquille O'Darn any good? He's actually quite a good right back. How does he compare to Azam? He's really not that bad. Does he want to join us? He wants to be a future prospect. I'm just gonna sign another player. Don't mind me. £20 a week. I'll pay you £25 per appearance. 3-year contract. Says it's very acceptable. He wants to evaluate all his options. I don't want his current club offering him a new deal. Let's get him to say the line. Just say the line, Shaquille. Say that. Just say my client thinks this is very acceptable, and we can end the episode knowing that you're joining us. Sometimes it says, that's a good offer. I'm very happy with it. That is the same as the very acceptable one. Hit finalize. Hit spacebar. Shaquille O'Darn. Probably should have scouted him more, but it's a free transfer. He can't play right back. He can only play right wing back. We'll train him to play right back. It's absolutely fine. Have I got a bit overexcited there? Maybe a little bit, but you know what? What's not to get overexcited about? You know what? I feel like that's a pretty good note to end on. We have still got a lot of transfer business to get done in terms of adding a bit more squad depth. I do feel like a right back and left back option might be the next obvious place to go out and sign a player. The centre of the midfield looks incredible all of a sudden. We will be back tomorrow with more Parks Prem action to end the week, and that will be another transfer special with more players to sign. Is there any players I should be looking to cash in on? Any positions that I'm severely underrating? Is this a tactical move that makes sense of our squad? Love your comments, love your thoughts. I always feel like the comment sections on these kind of videos are the best because I love hearing how different people might approach the same thing. So I look forward to going down below and giving all your comments a read. Whilst you're down below the video, make sure to drop a like. We're back tomorrow, like I already said. Until then, take things easy. It's me, Jack. I'll talk to you all in a bit. I'm out.